New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Good afternoon. I am Rev Gina, and what a blessing it is to be here with you today, here on Finding the Joy in the Journey. This show is all about finding your way to joy, no matter where you are, no matter what's going on in your life, knowing that it is already there within you. And it's different guests every week that help us find that path within us. Sometimes it's doing different activities. Sometimes it's the work that they do. Sometimes it's just their spirit that sparkles and shines. And it's what brings them joy that keeps it that way. So that's what we talk about here. And it's so important to remember that joy isn't something that, well, when I have this, then I'll be happy. When I have the right job, when I have the right mate, no. It's not about destination happiness. It's about being happy now, recognizing the blessings and living in that now. So there's no one I can imagine doing that in a greater way than the guest that we have today. Today we have Reverend Melissa from the Morning Sip here on New Thought Media Network. It is Rev Melissa Moorer Nobles, and she is amazing. She is a burst of energy. She literally is that coffee, that caffeine shot every morning, Monday through Friday on this network. On August 1st of 2021, Reverend Melissa was appointed the spiritual director and senior minister of Rockland Center for Spiritual Living, a New Thought center based in Rockland County, New York. Reverend Melissa shared that becoming a spiritual director is a manifestation of her ministerial vows to be a vessel of joy. She's an ordained interfaith minister with a master's degree in spiritual psychology. She has an affiliated licensed religious science minister and licensed religious science practitioner with Centers for Spiritual Living. She also has a thriving practice and is a certified spiritual life coach, executive leadership coach, and human resources consultant. Reverend Melissa uses technology of spiritual psychology, spiritual practices, and the universal principle to companion people in disrupting limiting patterns of thinking and behaving by prioritizing their mind and heart to reveal the healing from within. And we're going to get into so much more. She's such a gift, and she shines. So, Reverend Melissa, welcome. Welcome to Finding the Joy in the Journey. It is a gift to have you here. And, as you can see, perfect shirt. Live life from joy. And that is also, you have a show for that as well. So there's, no better match for you to be here and share with people, how is it that you maintain that joy?
Well, first, Rev Gina, I just want to thank you for inviting me to be on your show. A show named Finding the Joy on the Journey is the show for me. And Living Life in Joy is one of my shows that I have on New Thought Media Network. And joy, you know, I have had a journey. We talk about having a journey. I've have had a journey to get to the place where I'm embracing the joy that I am in everything I do. So it doesn't matter what it is. I am going to show up and be in it as joy, because a lot of times that's what's missing in some places that we find ourselves, right? You ever walk into a room and it's like, what is happening here? And you just got to like infuse some joy into the situation. So I see it as my offering to the world.
You are a living, moving effervescence.
Yeah.
Because when you walk in, all of a sudden it's sparkling. It's beautiful. And we have a couple of people that have already left messages. Please, we're live. We want to hear from you. Christopher, good afternoon from Detroit. It's wonderful to have you here. And we have Bonnie. Wonderful to have you here as well. And I think you're from New York as well, Bonnie.
Yes, Bonnie's part of our Rockland Center for Spiritual Living.
Beautiful.
And Christopher hangs out with me on Morning Sip now. So thank you both for coming over and being with us on this wonderful show today.
Great to have you. Absolutely. And any comments, we want to hear from you. That is what we are here. We are here for you. So you let us know anything you want to know, and any questions you might have or comments. We'd love it.
Yes, they're not shy. They're not shy.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So tell me, when it comes to your joy, okay? I know there's times and places, and everybody has their moments.
Mm-hmm.
What keeps you going?
What keeps me going?
Yeah, and when you have your moments, what brings you back?
Yeah. So I often say, sometimes I wake up and I'm just like in a bad mood for no particular reason. I'm just laid in the bed. I've just woken up and I'm feeling a little pissy. And I'm like, well, what is that about? But this is my agreement with myself, Gina. My agreement with myself is that my feet will not touch the ground if I am not in a space of gratitude. So before I get out of the bed, I do two things. I say my prayers and I say my gratitudes. And that alone helps me to shift whatever funkiness I got going on. It helps me to shift that energy, and then I could get going. And then once my feet hit the ground, I'm going straight to do my spiritual practice. So I've had a spiritual practice for many, many years, and it contains a couple of elements. So one is I do inspirational reading. So no news, none of that stuff, right? So inspirational reading. So it might be my Science of Mind magazine. It might be a author that really gets me going. So something inspiring, and just for a couple of minutes. And then I do inspirational journaling, and inspirational journaling is just that. So I might journal about something that I just read, or I might give myself a question that I need an answer to. And the one within me that knows all there is to know will answer. And that's just for like 5 minutes or so. And then I do TM. I practice transcendental meditation. So that's 20 minutes of meditation twice a day. And I do another prayer. So I do my spiritual mind treatment. And then I am good to go. I am good to go. And if I'm not good to go at that point, then I just stay in prayer. And my prayer might just simply be, oh, God, help me. Like, whatever this is, like, take it away and let's get going. And that usually works. That usually works.
And it's about a practice. Everything in life is a practice.
Yes.
And it's getting into a routine that keeps it simple. And it's just, you fall right into that. And it's so important. It's the equivalent of, if you get in the car and you're not sure where you're going. To me, that morning practice is like putting your address in the GPS so you know where you're going.
Yes.
You don't put it in after the fact. You start with that because it helps you get there.
Yes.
And Spirit is that guide that helps us, go in the right direction, but it's only if we use it. What good is having a GPS if you didn't turn it on?
That's right.
So, it's only the difference is that Spirit knows all, and you're not going to get a rerouting. You always get the best route.
Right. For me, it's like charge. It's a charge, right? Like, we wouldn't think about not charging our cell phones, right? Sometimes we think it's the end of the world if we're at less than 20%. Like, oh, I have to charge my phone. I have to charge my phone. So we need to treat ourselves like that too, right? We have to charge ourselves up every single day throughout the day, right? And so that is a practice. That is a practice. And that's what Morning Sip is all about. Morning Sip stands for Spirit in Practice. Spirit in Practice. Yes, Bonnie. And that's what we do because practice makes progress.
I like that.
Yeah, practice makes progress. So if you keep doing what you're doing consistently, persistently, you're going to move. You're going to move forward. You're going to move from where you are now.
And life on life's terms can be a lot. I don't want to pretend, there's a lot of people that have in my lifetime called me very Pollyanna. It's almost like as if I don't see it. I see it, but I don't have to stay stuck in it.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you had brought up, you mentioned the news, you stay out of the news. And, I have gone in and out of, in the sense of, I want to be a source of prayer and upliftment. But if it's bringing me down to the point of, I've caught myself at different times in my life, getting caught in the rut of watching the same stories again and again. I was waiting for them to change. I'm like, well, maybe this hour they'll be different. It's the exact same story told by a different person in the exact same way, but it's the same stuff. And I got caught up during COVID, and I got caught up at some of the scandals of that came after. And the truth is, I want that piece to be revealed.
Yeah.
And I caught myself watching too much because I kept waiting for it to show up.
Yeah.
How about now?
Yeah.
And that's not the way.
No.
It's one thing to know and be aware. I need to be aware that there is a need for healing to pray for.
Yeah. And like, I really don't watch the news. So, there's a collective consciousness around the news. So you're going to hear about the news. You walk out your house, you're going to hear about what's going on in the world. So I never really feel like I'm missing something. Like, sometimes I'm like, what happened? Like, I didn't even know, and that's fine. But, one of the best things news-wise that happened during COVID, do you know the actor, I can't think of his real name, but he plays in The Office. His character on The Office was Jim. And he's also the actor who did the movies, The Quiet Place. It was kind of like a alien. You had to be real quiet. It could hear you and stuff. Anyway, his name is Jim something. His real name is Jim something. And during COVID, he created Good News. So he had a Facebook show, and all he did was report good news. And so people started sending him good news to report on. It was fabulous. And he did it for a couple of months, and then it kind of like fizzled out. I guess he had to go back to, do a movie or something. But it was the best thing ever.
Friday afternoons, we have it on this network. Rev Robert has, and now the good news every
Yes.
Friday afternoon. And that is what we are here at New Thought Media Network to be, a light. We are here to help shine that light because it's always available, but not if we're not looking in the right directions.
Right.
Right. It's being conscious of what brings you up and what doesn't, what's feeding you, what's nourishing you. And,
right.
We get a choice
Exactly.
of everything that we say, do, everything that the people that we surround ourselves with, everything that we read and pay attention to, even our sleep patterns. All of these things either set us up and allow us to shine or not.
Yes, we do have a conscious choice. We can make a conscious choice. And so I make that conscious choice every day. And I catch myself when I find myself someplace else. Right? Because sometimes I find myself someplace else and I'm like, okay, what are you doing here in this negativity or in this low vibration or in this mess? Right? And then I could do what I know to do to shift myself back into the place that I want to be in. Because what I know is that no one is doing anything to me and that I have the power within myself to decide that I'm just not going to engage. Right? We have a choice in the matter.
Yes, we do. And it's so important that we remember that there is, and if you're not there, to realize there's help to get there. You don't have to be a ray of sunshine. You don't have to always be walking around, whistling. We're not talking about, this isn't, Leave It to Beaver. We are here saying that life happens and it can be better.
Yeah,
Start
life
with that.
happens and it could be better. And life happens and it could be better by doing your spiritual practices every day, because that's the juice that we need. Like it gets stored up, right? And then when you find yourself dealing with a challenge, you have access to what you have been doing every single day. Sometimes when things go really well, we stop doing our spiritual practice. And then we only do it when stuff is like all messed up. Like
people that take a medication.
Yeah.
And I was feeling good. Well, you were feeling good because you took medication.
Right.
But spirit is that source.
Right.
It is our source. It is our power source.
Yes.
And when we tap in, we have the source.
Yes.
And when we don't, we don't. And it's learning to be in the, the routine of it. The gift of the routine of it. And it's all a choice.
It is all a choice. Hey, Lori.
Lori says, joy even when life happens, especially then. Absolutely.
Especially then. Because we've all heard the saying, right? That the only thing that we can change is how we respond to things. That's the only thing we have control over, is how we respond. Nothing else. Nothing else.
That's what we bring into life. That's the most important thing that we bring to any day is our attitude.
Yes.
And whether you think you can or can't, you're right. So how do we then go to this place of saying, okay, what do I choose then? How do I choose to show up in the world? And you have to surround yourself by the people that'll help you do that.
Absolutely. When I'm working with people in coaching, one of the things that is a non-negotiable, if you want to work with me, is being committed to a spiritual practice. It's just non-negotiable, and, I have my circle of friends and most of them have a spiritual practice. And if they're going through some challenge or some difficulty, the first thing I ask them is, have you been doing your spiritual practice? And nine times out of 10, the answer would be no. Okay, get back and do your spiritual practice, because there's so many answers there. I can't tell you, Gina, how many times I've been writing in my journal and download answer to an issue I was dealing with. It happens all the time, but we have to make ourselves available for it.
Yes. And even things, shows like this, positive shows where we're talking about spirituality. We do, in Boston, we do a sacred circle at 7 on Thursday nights.
Mhm.
So it's tonight. Anybody is welcome. But the point of it is, we have a sacred conversation. So if you go in and there's something on your heart, Spirit knows that. So this is an opportunity to get the answer that you need. So anytime you are surrounded by spiritual people, there's an opportunity for an answer. So it's making sure we set ourselves up, and throughout the week, not just on Sunday, but throughout the week, we have those connections. Yes, you and Spirit are the majority. You just have to sit there and know. And there's also opportunities that other people might bring those answers to you.
Yes.
But it's up to us to really be in that place of allowing them in.
Right.
Prayer is asking. We're all good at asking for what we want. Well, most of us anyway get to that point that we're comfortable enough to ask.
Yes.
But to receive the answers, we have to be still and know.
We have to be still and know. And it could be very challenging to be still sometimes.
Lori says she chooses to show up in the world due to her spiritual practices. And
yes, Lori.
Absolutely. So
yes, and it's fabulous, Bonnie. I know it's fabulous. This is what we get to do.
It is, and we get to. It's all a choice, and there's no have tos, and the blessing is there's no judgment. I love that we know that. That there's no guilt, there's no shame. If you missed it, if you haven't been, you just go back and do it. It's not about there's no it doesn't matter. You just start today. It doesn't have to be anything more than that.
Yeah.
I wanted to, of course, we have, the morning sip, which is amazing for everybody. It is Monday through Friday at it actually is at 10:30, right? It's right after the morning prayer every day.
Yeah, so that's the flyer you have up now is for the meditation with the full moon.
That's just the morning sip.
Yeah.
But I wanted to mention this is for a particular event on the 6th.
Yes. So once a month, or sometimes we have 2 full moons in a month, I do a meditation with the moon, and that's actually doing a spiritual practice. So folks get to experience a full spiritual practice with the moon. And so we meditate with the moon. We ask the moon questions. We listen to the moon to give us information. We release things to the moon. We have a wonderful time. And Gina, when I first started doing it, I used to do it 4:00 in the morning.
Oh, man.
I would do it 4. No, people would come. I was amazed. 4:00 in the morning on Zoom, right? No one had to have their cameras on or anything. And I would do the new moon and the full moon. And then after a year of that, I said, okay, maybe I'll just do the full moon, and maybe I'll do it at night instead of in the wee hours of the day. So I changed it, I guess last year, to the full moon, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time on New Thought Media Network. Well, you know what it was at the time. I was, Julian just put in, I missed the 4 a.m. Julian Hairston was one of the people who would get up at 4 a.m. and do it with me. And the reason why was because I was getting up at that time anyway. So there was a period of time in my life where I would get up at 4 a.m. to do my spiritual practice. And the energy, Gina, at that time of day is just sweet. There's not a lot of things going on. Things are just more quiet. The energy is more still at 4 a.m. So that was part of my practice. I would get up at 4 a.m. I would do my spiritual practice, and I would get so many downloads. It was just so wonderful. So then I said, why not do a meditation at 4 a.m. and see if anybody will join me? And folks did. I mean, it wasn't a crowd of folks, but I was never alone. I was never alone. I always had someone show up and we would have a good time with the moon. So the next one is February 6th.
Well, she is beautiful. That the moon is, it's just, and we don't, when you think about, to me, when I, the connection, we are almost all water, and the moon's, the moon is what does the tides. It's what draws the tides in and out. So we are connected to that moon, and it does make it energetically. There's only one, but even if you look on the physical plane, it's pulling, and it is giving, and it's amazing when you really do tune into that. So it's a beautiful thing. Beautiful practice.
Is. Yes. So everyone's welcome to join.
Laurie says she remembers trying to wake up for the 4 a.m., but not quite making it.
It could be a lot.
And Julian said he got up, but then he'd go back to sleep.
Yes, there was no rules about going back to sleep, and sometimes I would go back to bed myself. But maybe we'll do it again. Maybe once in a year or something like that.
And you've got a lot of things going on, and I know you've got the gift of your ministry and your community, and I just want to mention that you have this beautiful community, and I've spoken there. It's just wonderful people, and it's available virtually on Zoom and Facebook every week, but it's in person the first Sunday of the month, correct?
Yes, we just started.
You gotta tell the story. You gotta tell the story of how you got to where you are.
Okay, so last year I became the spiritual director at Rockland, August of 2021. And we spent a good 6 to 8 months visioning about the vision, the mission for the organization, and also our space. So the space that we were in Tapan, New York, and we were renting space from the Tapan Reformed Church. And they have like a barn. They call it the barn. It's this big structure. And then they have their own separate church, a sanctuary. And we would have services in the barn. And, sometimes you're just in a space and it just doesn't suit you energetically. And so it didn't really suit me. We had been there for years before I was the director, the spiritual director. And it just like, it didn't resonate anymore for me. And I really wanted us to move. And this was during COVID time, so it really wasn't an issue. We weren't going anyway. We were just fully virtual. But at the point that we decided we wanted to spend at least one Sunday a month together, we started planning towards that. And things started happening there. So the first thing that happened was our sign disappeared, right? So all of a sudden, our sign is gone. And then I found out from the minister of the church that the post that the sign was on had been contaminated by termites because it was made of wood. So the termites just destroyed the post. So they had to take the sign down. Then the second thing that happened, there was a fire at the barn where we would have services. So we couldn't go back there and have services. So what we did was we decided to have service on a Friday night inside the church once a month. And that really wasn't a hit. Like Friday nights aren't really, the best nights for a lot of people. And we just kept visioning for the right space, just visioning for the right space. And, different words were coming up and people were seeing different things. But one thing that was consistent across the board was love, joy, expansion, expression, laughter, fun. And a couple of other words kept coming up over and over again. So we get a committee together and we're searching for space. And Gina, I was clear that the right space was going to show up for us. I wasn't going to settle. We are going to have this space. So one of the folks at the center said, what about the Rhino Comedy Club? Now, we had a fundraiser there a couple of years ago. Reverend Jennifer was the minister, and we had a fundraiser at the Rhino Comedy Club, and it was great. We had a wonderful time, but never did it enter my mind that that might possibly be a location where we could have services. So when the person at church mentioned it, I was like, I love that idea. So I went to look at it along with Cheryl, who's on the board. And as soon as we walk into the space, they had moved from the location that we were familiar with to a new location a couple of blocks down. And as soon as we walked in, I was like, this is it. This is it. So we had our first in-person service there a couple of weeks ago, and you could just feel the fun. You could feel the energy of laughter. It's a comedy club, for God's sake. So talk about God's idea, right?
Joy.
God's idea.
Anything is possible. And
yes.
when we do not put limits around the how, the where, the when we remember to stay out of the details and just know what we need and know that Spirit is providing and have the faith to draw it forth, we know it's here. It's already there. It's just making itself manifest.
Absolutely. And that is what has happened. And I'm not surprised by it, but I just love it. I just love it. And so everything just worked out. The owner is wonderful. It's at a really good rate. And we get to be there one Sunday a month, the first Sunday of the month. And it's in Suffern, New York. And everything that we had on our list, every single thing, Gina, parking. There's 2 gigantic municipal parking lots that's free on Sunday near public transportation. New Jersey Transit stops there and is in walking distance from it. It's in like restaurants and stores, and it's lively, it's diverse, it's very diverse, which I love. And it's above, we're on the 2nd floor. And so on the ground floor is a consignment shop. Now, I love myself a good consignment shop. And they're open on Sunday. So hopefully that won't become an issue for me. They'll be like, Rev Melissa, we got to start service. And I'm in the consignment shop.
No, you have to go afterwards. You have to make sure you go afterwards. That's the trick.
Yes. So if you're in this area, New Jersey, New York, Westchester County, Rockland County, come on, join us one Sunday in person. We would love to have you. And then we're virtual on Zoom and Facebook. Even when we're in person, we're virtual also. And I think that's probably the case for many of our centers now. The notion of just being in person, those days are over. You got to be both.
It's an interesting thing because there's a lot of things that are changing and shifting. And, one of the gifts of what we do at Centers of Spiritual Living and religious science in general is we really work on the spiritual connection. Mm-hmm. We talk a lot about that one-on-one. To me, religion, and this is my personal opinion, religion is man-made. But spirituality, that is it's you with Spirit. That's all it is. It's your personal connection. And while, yes, we have textbooks and we have readings and we have different things that can enhance that. Mm-hmm. And we talk about our history of New Thought and we have all these things. In truth, what we're trying to do is just help you as an individual, help me get closer within that, a deeper understanding of how to do that. And, we're seeing people aren't going in the masses that they were before, COVID definitely changed things. Mm-hmm. And they're not going to go back to the way they were. And it's just, and it's not that one is good and one is bad. It's just different. So we're all morphing. Centers are all morphing into something new. So CSL Greater Boston, the same thing, once a month. Ours is the second Sunday. So if you're in the Boston area, second Sunday, reach out to me. But we're also on this network on Sunday evenings at 5. on the Eastern time. So, you do what you need to do, and it's trying to reach people where they are and give the message that they need, not the message that somebody else wants to give.
Yeah, Gina, what it did was it shook us up out of our comfort zone. It propelled us to do something different. It propelled us to look at things from a different lens. It propelled us to really identify and to hone in to who we are and what we want to be in the community and how we want to be with each other. That's what it did at Rockland. I'll just speak for our center. It really solidified that we are a community of love and joy, and that we have a commitment to express and expand love in the world. Crystal clear, right?
Yes.
And so, COVID for many, many, many people was a tragedy. I know of people who lost people, and I'm not making it a light thing. It was a lot for us to deal with collectively. But in all of the challenges that we faced, like, we just look at it from our own personal lives. I've grown the most when I've gone through things that really challenge me. Heartbreaks and heartaches, right?
Yes.
At the time, I thought I would never get over it, right? But I learned so much by going through those challenges.
Yes.
And, COVID's a virus. It's seeking to evolve. That's what viruses do. That's why they mutate, right? It's always going to be, just like we're going to have the flu. We're going to have COVID. And so we learn to kind of cohabitate with when these things happen, right? But it's also pointing an eye to ourselves. How am I living? Am I living?
Yes.
Am I living? Like, let's start with that question. Am I living? What is the quality of my living? And how can I work? How can not even work? How can I align myself with the higher power, whatever that might be for you, to move forward in a way where I can connect to my yes again, or recover it, rediscover it, remember it, whatever it is for your journey. I think it also had that kind of healing for many, many people.
If we allowed it to, yes. And that's the whole thing. Everything comes from our perspective. They talk about, growing pains. That's why they call them growing pains, because it's what you grow through what you go through if you allow yourself to. Or we can get stuck. One of the greatest things I've learned through our teachings is that the source of our pain is not an event. It is my resistance to what I think I want and holding on to it. That's what's causing me pain. So, even when we lose, whether it's someone we love or a job or whatever it may be, it's that we think it's our holding on to it, so it's pain happens. And it really comes down to being in a place of allowing the flow of life. It will pass if we allow it to. But that's part of practices.
Yes.
That's where faith comes in. For me, it's my life raft. That's my life raft. When I fall, that's what I fall onto. And, I know plenty of people that don't have that. And it's hard to pick yourself back up if you don't have any place to fall.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
So you can fall into a spiritual community. You can fall into, friends, family, people that know and love you and support you where and how you are.
Yes.
And know better for you. And that's the whole thing, is that we don't have to be born into the right family. There's no wrong. But we don't have to be born into, we get to choose.
Yes. Yes. And we get to fall into God.
Yes.
right? We just get to fall into spirit that's always available,
Be as a
always.
child. Be as a child and just fall into. And
Yes.
wherever you're at, we talk a lot, we speak a lot about joy, but the truth is that when we're not, we still turn to spirit. And it's knowing that I don't have to be in a certain place. And if I'm not in a place of gratitude, that all the more I need to turn to spirit, because where else am I going to go?
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to, I don't have to pretend about anything. If I'm angry, if I'm sad, if whatever the emotion may be, it's turning to spirit. You got to turn to the sun, or all you're going to see is the shadow. What do I
Mm-hmm.
choose? Right? The
Yes.
light or the seeming darkness?
Yes. But I love all the emotions. I love all of the emotions. I don't judge any of them as good or bad, negative or positive, because what I've learned for myself is that each emotion, like anger, right, has something to show me, right? There is something underneath that anger that I need, that's trying to get my attention, that more than likely I've been ignoring, right? Or making believe it's not there, or like trying to dodge it, right? So I do welcome all the emotions, because I know there's a message there for me. I know there's probably a healing there for me. And I know that there's probably something that I need to forgive myself for, or just be in the space of forgiveness for others. So the full range of emotions, from joy to anger, have something to provide to us. There's something that we get to use as we move through, through the emotion of things. And the emotions, as we know, it's not who we are. It's just something that we feel, right? And that we could, as just like we feel our way through anger, we could feel our way through joy.
And it's okay not to be okay. You just don't want to stay there.
Well,
As
sometimes
that,
you got to stay there for a little bit.
yes. Bonnie's made a great comment. She said, when you're going through hell, don't stop.
Yes.
Don't pitch a tent. That doesn't mean
That's right.
we're not talking no spiritual bypass. You don't pretend it's not there.
No.
You don't deny it. You don't you don't, but you also don't stay. You don't buy a condo there.
Right. Don't start paying rent. No, you don't want to stay there, but you also don't want to move on too quickly where you don't address what needs to be addressed. And sometimes we can do that. Let me speak for myself. Sometimes I can do that. And then, the universe is so generous, and all the opportunities that it provides to me to be right back there. Right back. Here you go. Here you go.
And
Another chance.
sometimes you call them lessons, call them what you will. It's not about there's nothing punishing about it. It's just, that's how we grow. And, you're right. If you don't get it, if you do the same thing, you're going to get the same results. So it's really learning, okay, what is this here to show me?
Yes.
And now what? What do I do with this?
Yes.
And that's all the choice.
Yes.
We always have a choice.
Always. And even when we think we don't, we're choosing to think that we don't have a choice. And so therefore you're still making a choice.
And it's so important to remember that, you and I didn't get this way on our own. We had plenty of teachers. We had plenty of people that helped us get to where we are today. And now we try as coaches to help, and ministers to help people to, to have that light, to recognize that the sunlight of the spirit is there for everyone, that purpose, that the joy is always there. It's up to us to step out and get it, and I love one of the things that you have on the bottom of your email. You have your mission statement is to support people in living life in joy and connect to their yes.
Yes. Yes.
So I want you to just tell me a little bit about that. What does that mean to you? Connecting to your yes.
So we all have a yes. I love telling this African story, and it's called, our purpose is called our Ori, Ori, our Ori. And so just imagine we're all with God, all with spirit, all with the divine, all souls just hanging out, doing our thing, right? And God says, okay, I got an assignment. This is the assignment, right? God tells you what the assignment is. There's millions of souls, millions, right? And you raise up your hand and say, I will take that assignment. And God says, you're saying yes to the assignment? And you say, yes, I'm saying yes to the assignment. And so, okay, here we go. And there you are. You got your assignment. You got your yes. Your soul said yes. Literally, your soul said yes, right? And now you're in somebody's womb waiting to be born, right? You are born, and then, woof, it's gone. Everything that God told you, everything is gone. You don't remember. There's in another culture, they say the little dent here.
I just read that this week.
Yes, the little dent here when the angel tapped the dent, and then
the angel kisses you, and that's what creates the dent, and you forget everything.
You forget everything. So
this week I read that.
Yeah, so part of our journey is remembering our Ori, remembering our yes, remembering our purpose. And so when I say connect to your yes, it really is about that. It's a reconnection. It's a remembering. When people say to me like, oh, I don't remember, or I got to figure it out. That's my favorite one. I got to figure it out. No. There's nothing to figure out. There's nothing to figure out. It's all within you. We just need to access it again. That's it. And I'm not saying it's 1, 2, 3, presto, abracadabra. What I'm saying is that's the journey. That's the journey. And we could give ourselves some grace about it, right? Because it's a wiggly line. It's wiggly, right?
It's not going to be perfect.
It's not going to be perfect, and it's okay. So connecting to your yes is connecting to your soul that has already said yes, your soul that knows everything there is to know about you and this physical form. And we get to experience it again.
Yes. And we know when we're in the right direction because it feels good. And when we're not, it doesn't. It's really that simple.
It really is.
You know, it's just that simple. Linda says, the Greeks said you swim through the river of Mithros to erase the memory.
Yes, I'm sure every culture has a story, yes. Right? Every culture has a story about, the soul's assignment and what happens when, the thing that happens that we forget, and then the journey to remembering again.
And we get to choose. We get to choose and live into that.
Yes.
Set that intention and live into that. It doesn't have to be, even though the tag didn't, we didn't get the manual when we were born, we can create one now. What do you choose now? I believe everybody should have a theme song. Okay. And I got this from, and I'm going to age myself, Ally McBeal back in the 80s. She used to have a theme song. So ever since then, I believe that everyone should have a theme song. And the point of it is, when you're not feeling your best, when you're not experiencing who you really are in the moment, you play that theme song and it reminds you.
Yes.
So
yes.
My personal theme song is This Little Light of Mine. And I remember the first time I saw that. I think it was Whoopi, Color Purple, and I think it was Whoopi Goldberg's. It was her character, and basically she was a child and she was in church, and she just the music made her come alive, and the light was there, and just living. Didn't matter how she sung it, and they didn't want her singing the way she did, and it didn't matter because she was beaming. And that's the light that may I always exude that into the world. That's what I choose to be. And so when on the days that I don't feel that, I can remember, that like you have your theme, your personal mission statement. It's creating that for yourself. My personal one is to shine my light so bright it reminds others of their own. And we get to choose, so let's be in that place of knowing it.
So Bonnie is talking about every year on SIP and also at the center, I ask a question, and the question is, what do you want to embody more of this year?
Love it. What's your quality?
And so people share what their quality is, and I have a running list. And so actually tomorrow on the show, I do a roll call. There are 23 people on this list now. So every year we do this, and I remind them of their quality throughout the year and how you're using it, choosing to use it, choosing to be it, speaking as it, thinking about it, like it is your
Mine's
everything.
Mine's freedom this year. That's mine. What did you choose?
So so mine is actually, I made a emoji out of mine. So mine is focus, love, law, laughter. So for me, how that shows up is I'm loving my body. I'm loving my body. And for me, that means I'm getting rest, I'm exercising, and I'm eating nutritiously. That's how I'm demonstrating love for my physical form, because it's the vessel, right? And so the vessel needs to be clear and uncluttered. And I played around with it for too long. And so I'm recommitting to being in the law when it comes to loving my body. So I'm being consistent, persistent, reliable, dependable. I'm saying yes. It's impersonal. This is what I'm doing, no matter what, right? And then the laughter for me is about, instead of judging, I'm laughing. So I'm replacing judging with laughing. And I laugh at myself more now than before. And that indicates to me how much I would judge myself. So the more you hear me laughing, the more you know Melissa might be judging herself or judging you, right? So I'm using the power of laughter, the energy of laughter, as my quality this year. So I have those 4 elements. What I'm focused on, I have like some tangible goals that I'm focused on this year to completing. And then, of course, love and law and laughter.
That relationship with ourselves is sacred.
It is.
This is the gift. I mean, it is self-healing. Our bodies are just absolute gifts, and anything is possible. But it's making it our friend. It's knowing it and being in that place.
Yeah.
And I'm just running out of time, so I want to make sure I get to this.
Yes.
We that could be a very powerful hour. So I'm already inviting you back, and we're going to start with that one, because I too have had a lifetime of the judgment, and nothing happens. It keeps things stuck. It's only when we release and we lovingly treat ourselves, honor ourselves, that anything can change. So, but I wanted to just mention, you have Living Life in Joy, Sundays at 10:30 a.m. right?
Yes. So that's my other show on New Thought Media Network. And the purpose of this show is to connect with people, interview people who are in their yes, who are, connected to their yes, who are living their life in joy and their passion and peace, whatever it is that they're living their life in. That's the opportunity for me to hang out with people who are on that vibration and to learn some things and to, give them a platform. So I shared with you, Gina, that I don't like getting guests. So recently the show has turned into replays of my sermon from Sundays. So it might be that this Sunday, we'll see.
We do the best we can, right? We wear many hats.
Yes.
And I also wanted to mention, this is exciting. I love visioning boards. So tell us about this.
So you see down there on the bottom, it says, this is not a typical vision board event. And it's not. So I use the technology that Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith developed, the life visioning process. And so that's where we start. We don't start with getting magazines and cutting out pretty pictures and words. We start with going within and catching God's idea, right? Seeing through the lens of God's vision for our lives. That's where we start.
So much bigger.
It's so much bigger.
It takes off all of the self-imposed or publicly imposed or societies, the possibilities that they limit. And
yes.
it just allows that bigger picture.
Yes. So it's all about the feeling, where it's not about the things. It's not about the things. It's about the feeling tone. It's about creating a life visioning board that's reflective of your mental equivalent. And after we've done our life visioning process, that mental equivalent has expanded. And that's what we want to capture. So that's February 18th. You can register by going to...
If you're watching with a cell phone, you can always do a screen capture. I always tell people to take a screenshot so that they actually have it.
That's a good idea.
Just keep it and save it and have what you need. So I encourage you to, just look more into that. And also people can reach out to you directly. Your email is iamrevmelissa@gmail.com. And they can find you also, of course, on New Thought Media Network. They can find you your morning sip in the mornings, right after morning prayer. I'm often turning it over to you. And knowing that excitement and enthusiasm is just going strong. And it is, you are just caffeine in human form. It is beautiful.
That's the first, Gina. I've never been referred to as caffeine.
In human form. You don't need a dose, you just need a dose of you. That's all. It's beautiful.
Yes, everyone can find me there.
It's infectious, and that's what it's about. So, you have so much going on, and I'm so grateful that you took the time to be here with us today. And I can't wait to have you back because I feel a kindred spirit.
Yes.
I want to mention that I am also doing a class, and it's actually going to start February 8th. I changed the date. Practical Mysticism. You can reach out to me if you're interested in that. Again, it's a 10-week class, and it's practical mysticism. And
that's great.
It is. It's exciting. I'm looking forward to it. And you can find me on Facebook or CSL Greater Boston and Gina at cslboston.org. I'd love to hear from you. By all means, reach out to us. It is, yes, she definitely does embody joy. Thank you for being here and being part of this wonderful time with us. All of you watching at home or wherever you are, know that this life is meant to be lived in joy. Spirit is within you, living and loving and having its being, and anything is possible. So have an amazing week. And know that we are both here knowing your joy and celebrating it with you. So thank you for being here. And remember, New Thought Media Network is here because of people like you. take a look at you can go to ntmedia.org and take a look at all of our past episodes of both shows. And, and if you haven't, give donation one time or monthly, but we're here and able to do what we do on this platform because of it. So thank you for being here. Everyone have a beautiful week. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Gina.
Blessings and love.
Peace and blessings.
On behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New